Uh, so we're gonna switch up the topic a little bit today. My co-host is my girlfriend. And anyway, without further ado, how's your day going? And what
Hi.
are you doing right
Right now I'm just chilling. I already finished doing all the errands that I had to do. I already cooked either. I already cooked as well.
now? What'd you make?
I made meatball soup,
Meatball soup.
albóndigas. Yeah, sopa de albóndigas.
Okay, got you. And what does the soup consist of? Like, what does it have besides the
Ah,
meatball?
okay. It has a squash, potatoes, corn. It has rice as well and fideos. It's pretty good. It also has chipotle, so it has a really good taste.
Okay, interesting, just interesting. And but what is for dessert tonight? I know that you did like something special.
For dessert, we made gelatina, gelatin.
Gelatin,
Pretty good. Yeah, it was a strawberry gelatin.
strawberry ted. Okay, I thought you said you were gonna make like mango or something.
Well, I know, but we changed our mind, so we made that
Oh, okay, got you.
instead.
Because I don't remember having mangoes at the house. I know that we had strawberries, but I didn't see any mangoes.
Yeah, well, basically, you can make either or, but probably I made that next time. But for now, the strawberry,
Oh,
it will
okay,
be
for
it.
sure. Got you. Before we get into the topic, Barbie, I put Barbier. I didn't even notice that. And
Barbier.
Oppenheimer. Um, Before we get into the topic, and since this is a boxing channel, I wanted to ask you something in regards to the Honduran boxing legend, right? Teofimo Lopez. But before I get into Teofimo Lopez, I want to preface it by saying us Mexicans and us Mexican Americans, either you're very supportive or you're very critical of your own fellow athletes, right? Like the Mexican fan is very passionate, right? They wear their heart on their sleeve, so to speak, whether it's football or soccer, whether it's Chivas versus America, Pumas, Michoacan, Morelia, whatever the case may be, especially when it comes down to boxing. They either love Canelo or you despise Canelo and you compare him with the legends of the past and be like, oh, he's not even Mexican. He doesn't fight like a Mexican great. The reason I bring that up is because Teofimo is American, but he has Honduran roots, and obviously since you're from Honduras, I wanted to find out because I never really asked you guys this, but are you guys very supportive of like the athletes and of your people and like the culture? You know what I mean?
I would say yes. We are very supportive. I believe my brother, he's a big fan of him. I have seen his couple of fights, and he fights pretty good. Just I seen some fight. I think the last time I saw his fight was when he lost. But either way, we still support him even though he loses, just like Canelo or any other boxer. So I would say my family in Honduras are very supportive, just as Mexicans as well.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, because like I said, they either love you or they really hate you, and they're very critical. And it's like a crab in a bucket mentality, right? Like you're getting out of it, and then they're pulling you down. That's really, and I guess it's either the passion. And there's a famous boxer named Adrian Broner. He goes, "A hater is a fan. They just don't know it yet." So even though they're really critical, they're always supporting by paying attention, right? Viewing the fight of Canelo's fights. But yeah, it's like a 50-50 when it's Canelo's a very divisive topic. But it's interesting. I don't know too much about the Honduran culture and let alone like their people and their mindset and how they go about like supporting their athletes, especially Teofimo. I know he speaks a little bit of Spanish. He comprehends it as well. But obviously, since he's born in New York, he's got very American influence over there, like New York culture right behind him. But he's very outspoken, and he says some radical stuff. Canelo is usually calm and quiet, but which it's very interesting that criticism, but I just wanted to know if like they really like vouch for Teofimo. Just a little background: he did qualify for the Olympics. He didn't make the Olympian American team, but he did represent Honduras. So, and I think he ended up winning bronze or did extremely very well. You know, he ended up becoming he's a young legend, a great champion, undisputed ring lineo. I know all these titles, you don't even know what they are, but it's basically the dude is one of the top best boxers in the planet, and he's beaten two of the best fighters in the world.
Oh,
So yeah, you should be really proud of Teofimo Lopez. But anyway, um, the topic is Barbie and Oppenheimer. Now, the reason I want to talk about this with you is because I don't know if I'm too self-conscientious about what happened, but um, when you went to go watch Barbie, right? And for the most part, you and me always tend to do everything together. We get
yes.
the matching Jordan shoes, right? The Jordan 4 Crimson Reds. We get Crocs, right? And you went all out even for the theme of Barbie, you bought yourself some Barbie Crocs, like a Barbie pillowcase things. Peace out, Drew. Yeah, I'll get to Oppenheimer, and so we tend to do a lot of things together, right? Like most couples do. But
Yes.
this time, it was like the battle of the sexes, so to speak. You went to go watch Barbie. You went with my sister-in-law, my two nieces, and I took my nephew, and we watched Oppenheimer. And usually we'll go watch each other's movies. You know, like we'll go watch Top Gun 3, 4 times, and then if you want to go watch a movie, we'll go watch the movie like The Flash, or so to speak. But this is the first time that we parted ways. You went to go watch Barbie, and I went to go watch Oppenheimer. The same Friday, just like about an hour different, right? Like I think we went at 4:30 p.m. and I think your film started like around 5:20 p.m. Something like that.
Yeah.
So before I get into it, what did you think about the movie Barbie? And was it
Um,
anything that you expected it to be?
I would say a lot of stuff. Honestly, I grew up loving Barbies. Since I was little, it was like my favorite toy besides cars. Um, I always tell my mom, I was, every time I talk to her and stuff like that, I was like, Mom, I want a Barbie, I want a Barbie. So Barbie has been like a big thing for me. So when I saw that a Barbie movie was gonna come up, I was like, oh no, I have to see this, because that was my childhood favorite toy. And so, yeah, I went all out. Got myself some Crocs, got some pillows, a blanket. It was honestly a lot. I would say the auditorium, it was pretty full. It was packed. We were all excited. Uh, it was my sister-in-law, Chili, and Pera, and her nieces, and they were excited too. They were all wearing. I told them, you know what? For this movie, we had to go all out. Say, you guys have to match with me, or you have to wear something Barbie. Because if not, we're not going. They're like, yeah, 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 for sure. Beta had her shirt Barbie, and Chila was wearing a Barbie shirt. Jenny was wearing her Barbie sweater. I was wearing my Barbie shirt. I even did my makeup, all pink and everything. At the beginning, before we went to the movie theater, I was a little bit shy because I'm like, what if I'm the only clown that I literally just dressed up as like everything pink with Barbie, I was like nervous, like, what if I'm the only one and stuff. But once I actually waited and I started seeing more girls dressing up, wearing Barbies and taking the Barbie blanket and everything, I was like, okay, I'm chilling. Like, I'm good, man. I can go ahead and, actually take a seat and watch the movie. So it was a lot of people. It was packed. Um, about the movie, I liked it a lot. I would say the beginning and the middle. The end, the ending, um, not what I expected. I wasn't even expecting anything from the movie. I just wanted to see, to watch a Barbie movie. And the beginning was pretty good. Was really funny. Was pretty awesome. Uh, I think the movie, according to what I saw on other like Instagram, TikTok, it wasn't more about what we thought as a Barbie. It was more like a life lesson, you know, because us girls, we grew up when, those girls that would grow up loving Barbies. Basically, it was like a how you say it? It was basically like telling like a life story. We as a woman, we grow up and we forget about ourselves, and we just let you know time, work, and everything else, and kids, you know, totally forget about dedicating things to us. Uh, value us and things like that. That was basically what the message of the movie was. At the ending, I was like, okay, that's it. I was expecting more, but then now I realized the movie, it was actually a pretty good movie. It was actually pretty good. It was really funny, really fun. It was really fun to watch, and yeah. And the funny part is that there was a lot of kids in the auditorium. A lot, like a lot of people, like a lot of guys. There was more guys than girls.
Huh.
So me and my sister-in-law, we were so surprised. But she was like, "Oh, look, all these cans. Where that came from?" I was
So were
like,
the guys like taking their couples and watching the film, or was it
uh,
like just a bunch of
no.
guy friends going to watch Barbie because
Yes,
it's Margot
yes.
Robbie and they're trying to see some, cute girls, or what was it?
I would say it was a group of friends of only guys.
What the
But
fuck?
yeah, I know we were laughing too because we were expecting more girls to be in it, like in the watching the movie. But we
Yeah,
were surprised there were actually more Kens than Barbies.
got you. And you're saying more Kens, more
Yes.
Kens than Barbies. Okay, because it sounded like you're saying kids.
Oh,
Like there's
Kens, my bad.
no, no, you're good, good. That makes sense. Cause I was like, Ken's. That's hilarious. Okay, so I haven't seen the Barbie movie, and I wanted to ask you, they used real people, right? Like it wasn't animated or it wasn't like AIs.
Yes, actually, it was actually real people. One of my favorite movie actors, it was Margaret Robbie. I think that's
Yeah,
how I'm
Margaret
pronouncing it
Robbie.
right. She's
Yeah.
one of my favorite ever since
Margot.
Justice League. She comes out to Harley Quinn,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
she
yeah.
always been my favorite one. And she actually was the main actor in the movie, and she actually did a really pretty good job in the movie.
Oh, okay, for sure. Yeah, no, she's a really good actress. I had only the first time I had seen her was The Wolf on Wall Street, with Leonardo DiCaprio, and then of course she went on to do Justice League. She went, not Justice League, sorry, like Suicide Squad. She was Harley Quinn, so she's been getting those major popular roles, and obviously alongside Barbie. So I know that she's a really great, entertaining actress, and she plays her roles really well. So yeah, I was curious to watching that film. But what did you think of the what about Ken? Ryan Gosling? Do you think they should have used like that guy from Australia, Montgomery? I don't know how to pronounce his first name, but Docre, he's the guy Billy from Stranger Things, that good-looking surfer lifeguard dude. You think they should have used a younger actor like him, or maybe the guy that I thought would have been the perfect Ken, Glenn Powell. Glenn Powell, babe, is the actor from Top Gun, Hangman.
Oh,
So, like, to me, that looks like a perfect face. Like when I look at the Ken doll, right? It's this dude. So did you think like it should have been played by him, or should it played been by the guy from Stranger Things, or are you okay with Ryan Gosling and having all those wrinkles, and you know what I mean?
well, to be honest, babe, my Barbies that I remember when I was a little girl, my favorite Barbie can I would say was Max Steel. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he was. I would say it was same. It was made from the same company, Mattel.
Uh huh.
So we grew up. Well, I grew up, making the Barbies be like, okay, their husband, their Ken. But I would say, yeah, I would say they should have used a different person. I believe that Ryan Gosling was a little bit older for the how you say, to be Ken. He was a bit older, so I would say they used someone else. And because on the movie they made it seem like como que no. because Barbie in the movie, she does says that she doesn't love him or anything. Ken.
Uh-huh.
So he was more like in the movie, like como que like an extra person, you know. Because even at the end of the movie, they couldn't even like no, there was no happy ending, you know.
Okay, got you. That's interesting. So just so I can get some clarity,
Yeah.
the Ken doll that you were talking about, Max Steel, is he the one that came out in that Pixar film, like with the brown hair, or is that like a one with the blonde hair?
Yes, brown
The one
hair.
with the blonde hair, brown
Yeah,
or
but
blonde?
he's not in the movie. Basically, Max Steel brown, maybe like a brunette.
Oh, okay,
He
got you.
has
Yeah,
brown
so
hair.
then it would have been
But
perfect if it was Glenn Powell, the guy from Toy
mhm.
Story. I mean, sorry, the
Hold on.
guy from Top Gun.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you. You were kind of cutting off, but I can hear you.
Okay. Sorry, babe. You were saying?
Nah,
My bad.
no, you're good. No, it was no, I just wanted to get some clarity on the Ken doll. So, okay, so that's a little bit about Barbie. Okay. Well, you didn't go see Oppenheimer. I did, and with my nephew, and it was a good movie because the director Christopher Nolan, he just makes great films. He is a fantastic film director, one of the best directors here that film has to offer. And we've seen a couple of his movies. We've seen Memento. We've seen The Prestige with Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale. We've seen the Dark Knight trilogies. The dude is a fantastic movie director. He's the best. Inception, Interstellar. He's wicked, like amazing. And so I was very interested because he doesn't really make a lot of films, right? He makes quality. But for this film, I just didn't enjoy it. It was 3 hours too long. The movie theater was very hot. Um, wow. The film is great. Give me a second, babe.
Mm-hmm. No worries.
I'm doing
Take
a
your
live, Jermaine. I am. I am. So the movie was very good, but I didn't like it mainly because you weren't there.
Oh.
And so not to be like all corny and cheesy, but what I mean by that is like again, we do everything together mainly. We go watch like couples, like every couple, right?
Yes.
But in this particular movie, especially in this movie, it was really long and you can feel the length of it. So there's a beauty in the world of just saying, like there's a saying, less is more. And this
Yeah.
film, I wish it could have been edited better. It was really long, and again, the movie theater was extremely hot. Like you were sweating, your butt is sweating. My nephew was sweating, so it isn't just me like being older than him. Like no, this is a young dude next to me, and he's also sweating. But everything about the tone, when you go watch a movie, you're excited, and I was. But then upon seeing the film and watching it, I just it wasn't entertaining. I'm not saying it was good. I'm just saying that the build up, the weight, you expected more. The symbolism, the movie checks out all the boxes. Good acting, the actor is fantastic that plays Oppenheimer, right? His name is Killian Murphy. Killian, I first saw him when he made a badass, scary movie called 28 Days Later. I don't know if you've seen that movie, babe, but it's a zombie movie directed by Danny Boyle. You don't might not know the name Danny Boyle, but Danny Boyle is the guy who made Slumdog Millionaire, and you might have seen that James Franco movie called 127 Hours.
Uh, sorry, babe. I don't think
Okay,
I've seen those films.
damn. Okay, so
Or maybe.
127. I gotta put you on some game, babe. So those three movies that I mentioned are completely different, and they're all really good. So Slumdog Millionaire won like movie of the year like back in 2010, 2008. It's great. It's basically like this Muslim kid that hops on a game show, and his life experiences allow him to essentially win the lottery on the talk show host Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. They answer him 10, 12 questions, and he knows it all. And the movie, as he's answering one question, it cuts into the 15-minute piece of his life that why he knows that answer to that question. Obviously, the talk show host, it starts easy questions, and then as you go further, 8, 9, and 10th question, it gets harder and harder and much more specific. Anyway, Slumdog Millionaire, I'm about to put you up on it. It's so good, babe. But anyway, this actor Cillian Murphy that plays Oppenheimer came out in 28 days later, and it's a scary movie. Like it's super scary, super good, and that enticed me to the craze of all the zombies. So I expected a lot of Oppenheimer. The director, the actors, Florence Pugh, the movie that we watched with the cult in like Sweden, it's called Midsummer, right? It's fantastic. It cannot fail to entertain. Well, for me, that's exactly what it did. And the reason being is, besides the length, is because you weren't there.
Yeah.
Normally, when we experience this, and I've been single for the majority of my life, and obviously until you came into the picture. But you'll order pizza, I'll order a hot dog, and we'll just be chewing off each other's food. Like, okay, let me get a piece of that, you get a piece of this. We'll mix drinks as well, so it's very entertaining. Again, that vibe of consistency that we've been doing, Barbie and Oppenheimer separated that.
Yeah.
So it's like, and even though it's for like 3 hours, but in terms of enjoying it with a significant other, Oppenheimer, the whole vibe sucked for me. So just to get you a little bit brief, little description of the movie Oppenheimer is basically it's an autobiography, no, like a biography, right, about this guy who invented the nuclear bomb, right, the atomic bomb, and he builds, a camp, brings all the scientists that are associated with like communists, his friends, his brother, his wife, and they build this town and a research facility in Los Alamos, New Mexico, something like that. I don't remember the specific details.
Yeah.
That's basically where it takes place, and there's pressure of the military government, there's spies, and it's just that type of film. And then it's juxtaposed between being interrogated. Long story short, they add symbolism. So like the positive and electron and the neutrons like cramming and smashing together and creating like these particles. So like these little specks of like circles all over your screen throughout the whole film. So it's called a leitmotif. It's what they taught us in acting and directing class. So it's kind of like a repetitive image or a saying or a music that always reinforces the notion of what the film is about. Anyway, without using $10 words and like getting lost in translation, it was a very good movie. It checked out all the boxes, but it really wasn't good because it wasn't entertaining. Now, had you been there, it might have been a little funner, but not when you're sweating. You would have
Oh,
been like, man, this shit is, babe, it's too long. And so that was the one time that I realized that did the powers that be, the corporations, did they create Barbie and Oppenheimer and release them at the same day to like study couples? So maybe
I'm
maybe I fucked up. What I mean by that is, again, maybe I'm too self-conscious about things or thinking too much, but I probably should have gone with you to go watch Barbie, like a couple would do.
I
Naturally.
wanted you to go with me. You were like, no, no, that's for girls only.
Right, right. Or so that's why, like the title of the film, the title of this conversation is like the battle of the sexes, and I decided to go watch Oppenheimer. So in this situation, should I have gone with you or should
Yes.
you have gone with me? And it was males watching Oppenheimer, or was it all females watching Oppenheimer? And you're basically telling me it was like 50-50. In fact, there was more Kens,
Yeah.
more boys and all their friends going all together, like, like if they were watching a sports film. But
Yeah.
anyway, so I just kind of wanted to like tie everything together and just be like, yeah, maybe the experience wasn't as good because you weren't there. And you went on to watch what you're supposed to do because you're a female. So it goes go back to like this male versus female type of thing. And I wonder if the powers that be released that movie, Oppenheimer and Barbie, at the same time to do like a gender study. To be like, oh, who are, because this is what they do. There's people that do polls and they like the marketing and who are they targeting to. To be honest with you, if I'm being honest with you, the movie Oppenheimer, I didn't really care about it. Not
Yeah.
because it's not interesting. I only cared about it because of the director. And I'm a big follower and fans. Dreamer Vargas says, it is girly. I'm a Ken. That's hilarious. But I didn't really care too much about the movie Oppenheimer. In fact, I didn't do any research going into it. I knew a little bit based on like the trailer, but I love Christopher Nolan. The dude makes wicked movies
Yeah, he
and
does
he
make good movies.
makes me nervous. When I watched the movie Inception, Interstellar, The Prestige, not only does he understand the human element and the natural human condition, but his film makes me very uneasy, very nervous. Not to the point where I'm biting my nails, but I'm like, bro, this guy's pushing boundaries, and he creates a world within a world within a world, right? He did it with Tenet, he did it with Interstellar, and all these films that is just like, all right, bro, this is pretty nerdy, but thank you for breaking it down in a very simple form. Excuse me. But yeah, I wanted so I can stop talking. What did you think about that idea that I told you that like we parted ways? Did you feel the same way, or am I just like thinking too much? You know?
Honestly, yes. I wish you would have been there watching the movie with me. We always, and everything I always do, we're always next to each other. I missed it, my best friend being next to me, holding hands. You putting your arm, my baby putting his arm around me, to enjoy the movie, and I missed that part a lot. I I was so close to text you, be like, "Hey, babe, you didn't want to come see the movie with us," but I knew you were enjoying your movie, so I gave you space. But yes, I would say it'll be the last time because I did miss you a lot.
Yeah, no, that's good that you feel the same thing because yeah, I don't know. It was again, it was a very I don't know again if it's like an experiment or maybe I'm just over analyzing the situation. But it was the first time that it was like there was some divisiveness. Not like you and me argued like, oh, do this, do that. No, no. It was just more like, I wanted to watch this and you could have been like, well, we could have watched it all both movies at different times, but just
That's true.
for the sake of like not wasting too much money, but also just enjoying it. I was like, you go do your thing and I go do my thing. It's like even when we go buy jerseys at fans or champs or any of these Foot Lockers, we'll go to the same stores. Typically,
That's
I won't go into Victoria's Secret and you choose out your thongs and stuff like that, which probably I should. But like you come to the football stores and then you're like, oh no, get this jersey, get this jersey. But like I said, everything we do is together, and in that aspect of that film, or those two films, we didn't. Obviously, if you look at the movies, how they've been doing in terms of the projections, they're both crushing the box office. So probably people want to go watch both.
Well, I saw it on the news that the Barbie movie it hit 1 billion.
It already
Well,
hit the billion mark.
yep.
Nice.
So you can tell a lot of kids went to watch the movie.
For sure. Because the Kents have to go watch the movie because it's only smart business. Because if girls are gonna go to the movie theaters, so if you're a single dude and you're gonna go out with all your homies, I mean, what better ways to go there with a mob of 5 friends to try to pick up 5 chicks as well? So it's like going to the bar or it's kind of like going to a club. You know what I mean? You're gonna get that type of environment. Now, whether you're gonna be able to spit game in a theater or a closed environment with the lights turned off, I mean, that's up to like kind of like creeper zone. But it is what it is. So overall, you would say that you like the Barbie movie?
Um, I would say yes and no. Yes and no because it was a really nice experience and everything. It brought me back some childhood memory. And no, because it's not really what I expected in the movie, but at the same time, I would say it was missing that part, which it was you. Maybe if we would have watched it together, I would enjoy that movie more. But yeah, we
Got
didn't
you.
get.
And I'll completely be honest with you. One of the reasons why I didn't want to go watch the Barbie movie is because from the trailer, even though I like the actress and I like Ryan Gosling, from what I was reading a little bit of the trailer and like all these things that were popping up on my news feed, whether it's on my YouTube, the social media, or just like the Yahoo articles or the Atlantic, is that it kind of felt like a snobby movie. What I mean by snobby is I thought it was gonna be like a Kim Kardashian movie. A rich girl living a rich life, something happens, she gets humbled, and she's like, oh, I'm more in tune with like the downtrodden, the minorities, or you know what I mean. That's kind of I thought the movie was, and I was just like, man, I ain't trying to watch that goofy shit. Um, but But again, maybe it was completely different and like, nah, the homie Ricky, you're just an asshole, and the movie was great, and you know what I
Ah,
mean?
don't say that, babe. To be honest, John Cena comes out too in the movie.
You said John Cena.
Yeah, he comes out in one part, actually two parts of the movie. Oh, actually, he comes as a what's it called? A mermaid.
He comes out as a mermaid.
Yep.
Oh, okay. So I'm out of the loop with Barbie, what it's all about, you know. Um, but yeah, I'm actually pretty cool. I thought I thought
Mm-hmm.
the Barbie movie. I asked you earlier, like 30 minutes ago, if they used real life actors or if they used like, you know, like
Live
plastic
actors.
dolls, if it was animation and stuff like that. Because
Oh.
with all this artificial intelligence coming out, right? All these AI programs, whether it's Lenza, whether it's you can automate or auto engineer, you know, Trump's voice and have him say comedic jokes, or you know, all these little situations. I thought that would be kind of like a brainwashing method that'd be like, hey, this is where the new wave of the world is going, all perfection of the faces, no wrinkles, no blemishes. I thought that's what Barbie was going to be, because when you look at a Barbie doll, the expectations of all the women and boys trying to be like Ken and trying to be like Barbie, you know, it's like, oh, I gotta be blonde and beautiful and blue-eyed and all these nature. So I thought that was gonna probably give us some brainwashing into like, oh, here's artificial intelligence, plastic faces, and even though this is Margot Robbie, who is like already a beautiful natural woman, no, we have to make her. The expectation is much more. It's much more. You know, we can be perfect, and you go with Elon Musk creating like this brain thing with Neuralink that you can basically channel a person's conscientious, sentience, the ability to feel into a robot body, and you can essentially cause like being immortal. I know I'm going way too crazy into this, but that's what I thought Barbie was gonna do. I thought they were gonna use animation and perfect faces, right, rather than like an old Ryan Gosling. But it is pretty cool and interesting that they used regular people rather than you know um, trying to program us with artificial intelligence or
So they did use real
unrealistic
people,
expectations.
babe. They did use real people. And the fun thing about it is that Barbie, she acted as as a Barbie, you know, as a
Yeah.
Barbie. And I believe throughout the movie, I believe she's finding herself, because I guess part of the movie was that if if the person that is playing Barbie is actually not feeling good, or a lot of things are going in her life, the Barbie stops being a Barbie. So what the focus in the movie is that Barbie's trying to find that her owner, and the person why basically she starts being a Barbie, you know. Like basically I remember, if you remember Toy Story, how Andy used to play with the toys. He would put it like on a bag and stuff like that, and the toy would try to always go back home. That's basically, but basically what the movie was about. And that's why at the end it says it wasn't a movie meant for kids. It was more meant for older women, you know, like my age, you know, those that grew up watching Barbies, those girls that now, you know, you work a lot, now you forget about yourself, like I mentioned earlier. So that was basically what the message of Barbie, because at the end, Barbie, she's basically, I don't want to say it, but she becomes human. So,
Okay. She
but it
became
was a pretty
human.
good movie.
So it was from going to like a plastic doll, an
Yes.
artificial doll, and like having that transformance of a human.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yes.
so let me pick point at that because I haven't seen the movie. So, um, was she like over the top, girly, skipping, like being all like high mighty class? And then what do you mean becoming human? Like, what was the difference? Like, was it a robotic posture? Was it a robotic tone of voice? What was the difference from Barbie, and what was the transition? Like what were the like the characteristics? You know what I mean? Like how did she become human? Did she like have more emotion? Was she crying? Was
Yes.
she so there was more
Uh,
feelings?
Yeah, so basically, at the beginning, and Barbie, basically, Barbie's a Barbie. She has no imperfections. She's a perfect person. She doesn't cry. She doesn't have feelings or stuff like that. So at the beginning of the movie, Barbie starts noticing things. That she can do no more. Like, for instance, like those ballet girls that they have to have their feet up in the air. That's how
Hmm.
Barbie always have to be. But then she loses that, and so basically she keeps, that's what she's trying to find out her owner, like, because she started changing a lot. She's starting to actually start acting like a human person. So she goes back in time. I mean, she goes back in time in the future, to actually like a real world, and trying to find her owner. So that maybe, she's trying to find, oh, I just gonna go see my owner. Maybe it's a little girl, and she will get to play with me, and then she will love me again. That's Barbie's mentality. But in reality, it's like totally different. It's actually an older woman, and yeah, the reason why Barbie was acting like that was because the person that plays with her, it's a mom that had a daughter.
Hmm.
So this mentioned a lot of things on TikTok about like her daughter and other girls basically make reference of Bratz movie.
Okay.
That's just another topic, but yeah. And also, so yeah, they eventually she goes meet her owner, and they become really close, and then she brings her owner to the Barbie world, with everything about fantasize, how Barbie acts and everything. She's like, oh, you can probably go to my world, maybe try to change things, and probably I can go back to being a normal Barbie. And well, Ken, he tries to um I guess Ken, his theory for him is always been in love with Barbie. Always, he's in love with Barbie. He does everything Barbie tells him to do, because he doesn't have a life, basically. But then he finds out that in the real world, men have a career, men work, men provide, men can do other things, not just, be or do whatever Barbie tells him to do. So then he goes back, and he just takes a bunch of stuff like book to the back to the Barbie world, and he teaches all the kids that, oh, now we're men, so we have to start acting like men. So and then throughout the movie, it's like yeah, it's really funny. It's like Barbie's versus Ken. So it's very, very funny.
Okay, got you. That's pretty interesting. So that kind of like reinforces this whole time. There's a saying like, you know, but yeah, I'll get to the saying in a little bit. So when you talked about Barbie and like how she's supposed to be like a ballerina, all perfect,
Yeah.
so you talked about that she started getting into her feelings. So was it like a blemish? Was it a pimple? Was it what led to her finding her creator, right? What led to her finding and going on that journey? Like
Well,
what was
one,
giving her like an existential crisis? What was that impact in the film that they showed?
she lost she lost control, I would say. Her feet was not in the air no more. That's when she's starting to notice it. So her feet was actually flat, and she's like, oh no. She's like, what's happening to me? My feet is flat now. What do I do?
Wait, time. What do you mean by her fetus flat?
Well, Barbie, I don't know if you ever seen a Barbie, babe, but Barbie is always like, their tippy toes, right? I would say, there you go, on their tippy toes.
Uh-huh.
um Once Barbie starts being on her tippy toes, she's like, what's wrong with me? And she asks the other Barbies, and the other Barbies are like, oh no, like, oh wow, that's bad, like something really is happening to you, you're not a Barbie no more, and stuff like that. And she actually starts, having emotions. She starts to actually cry now. She's like, why am I having all this stuff? This is new to me, and that this never had happened to me. Also, I believe that she starts to feel um, that they don't. Okay, so Barbie movie is like a fantasy world. You know, it's not like us humans. We actually drink coffee, but then everything is fantasy. The cups are empty when they're drinking coffee, tea, and when they eat food. And then she started to realize that, okay, she's like, why this water is cold now, why I don't have coffee, I don't have why there's coffee or liquid in on my cup. You know, just things changes in her life, and that's why she just tries to go and try to fix it on the real world, and then she learns, you know, that not everything is about being a Barbie. People grow up, you know, kids, the people that used to play with you, the little girls that used to play with you, they have actually been adults now, they have their life.
Huh. So when you talked about them being tippy toes, was it like just a natural Barbie stance, or is it because they wear high heels so they're tippy toes, and then once she became flat footed, she quote unquote became grounded, like
Yes.
humbled?
Hmm. Like basically being
Okay.
like barefoot.
Got you, got you. Okay, so I'm gonna go to a little wild point, but back in like in the 1600s, right? Like old school culture in Asian culture, there
Hmm.
was this thing called foot binding. Now, foot binding, like for instance, they used to, I don't know if they used to crunch the women's feet or it was like a special shoe, and they would measure the women's feet, and like if it's under like 4 or 5 inches, it's like a golden lotus, and then meaning like this is what a woman's foot's supposed to be like. You're not supposed to have big feet. They looked at it like not frowned upon, but it was like attractive, so to speak. And they used to have this method called foot binding, and they would like wear these shoes. Anyway, long story short, and their feet became like very like mutilated over time, just like a weird culture practice. Anyway, in Barbie, did they show that like when she became flat-footed, it was kind of like you got toe fungus, like you know what I mean? Was it like that or like what?
Yeah, kind of like that.
That's
Although the Barbies is like,
supposed to be a
ew.
joke, man. You're supposed to laugh.
Yeah. But yeah, they were like, oh my god, like ew. Like it's basically like, you know, you basically Barbie, she put her foot on the table and everybody was like, they all the Barbies they ran and like, ew, what's wrong with your feet?
Did they
I was
really do that in the film or no?
like, yeah.
Oh, okay, got you. Yeah, because that's good symbolism. You see, they're bringing in a certain element. Now, whether they expounded upon that and like stretched it out and like, hey, this is like a culture thing in some cultures way back into like centuries ago. But that is hilarious. That's interesting. No, that's pretty cool. Maybe I have to watch it.
Yes.
Maybe
Well, I
when it
don't mind
comes out in
watching.
Disney app or something, I'll probably watch it. Because usually I don't really do a lot of reviews on films, but I go to Google, I type in the film, and then I press the space bar button and I type in IMDb, which is like the internet uh meta database for films. And then there's people there that give you like a little review, kind of like Rotten Tomatoes. And I noticed
Mhm.
that Barbie started off like at 7.4, and then when they watch it and they put their vote, it got like a 6.3. And if we look at a 6.3 on a scale of 10, that's 63%, which means it's like a D film. Or on the
Oof.
contrary to the movie that I want to go watch, Oppenheimer, they gave it an 88.7, which is 87%, which is a B, close to a B plus, close to an A minus. But so I'm not saying that Barbie's gonna be like a waste of time or it won't be a good film, but I know that you said that it was a good film, you liked it, and there was something that you've always wanted to watch when you were a little girl, but you didn't. I remember when we waited for you in the movie theaters as your film ended. I asked you that question, like, did you like the film? And you were like, yeah, it was good, but you didn't really seem enthused about it. Like, oh, it was amazing. Like, it's up there with Mario animation and Toad, and there was a lot of cultural references, and it was very fun. Like a small guy like Toad. Small people always tend to drive big trucks to compensate for, even though Toad is a little small. Like, there's always that little thing. But
Oh yeah.
you didn't really have that passion for Barbie. So I kind of wanted to pick your mind a little bit about it. But I think that's pretty much it, Amor. I just wanted to talk to you about for a little bit about that movie experience and what I thought about it when we parted ways to go to separate theater rooms and watch separate movies, not together, and what I kind of went through my head in the process of. Um, but yeah, thank you for. I mean, is there anything else that you want to talk about in
Um.
relationship to the movie,
Well,
or
I wouldn't.
any
I
questions
wouldn't
for
mind.
me?
I wouldn't mind watching Oppenheimer with you. So that'd be fun
I would
since you
like to
watched the
watch it
movie already.
again, but it's 3 hours too long. Like
Was
it
it
really
like the
is.
Elvis movie or no?
No, Elvis. See, Elvis was very entertaining, but and Elvis, there was parts that it felt pretty long, but it was like a rock and roll. The way they edited the film, it felt like a rock and roll piece, right? Like a big
Mhm.
old long promotional film. Oppenheimer was very specific in terms of what they wanted to talk about, which was like communism, the relationship of Oppenheimer with his wife and this girl that he like, his side piece, and just that aspect of it. Elvis Presley was like his whole life, from like a kid to his moment, and even to the bad managerial decisions, or how Tom Hanks kind of like lured him in and kind of kept him trapped, right? Or like a slave contract. Nah, I thought Elvis for me was much more entertaining, especially with the little wiggle, and then the actor is very charismatic as well. I didn't really feel
Oh yeah.
that. I don't know. Long story short, Oppenheimer. I don't know if I can sit through that 3 hour movie again. It's kind of like there's a beautiful movie, probably one of the best movies ever made. It's called Magnolia, and it's fantastic, but it feels very long. I don't know if you've watched it. I know that I've mentioned it a couple of times, but I don't know if we actually sat down and watched it. But
Um,
it's just to bring you back a little bit into it. I know that I showed you like the intro to the film, which was like I can't really explain it to you because it's I don't really quite fully understand it and break it down into a simplest form so you can be like, oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. But it's a really good film, but it's not for everybody, right? And I'm not talking about people that like films like Transformers versus very slow developed drama pieces. No,
I
like
wanted to
I know
watch
that.
Transformers.
Yeah, I know you want to watch Transformers. Transformers is good, but I feel like there's a lot of repetitive things that it's just like, man, you're really stretching out this franchise, and you guys' stories are becoming kind of lackluster. Kind of like with Fast Furious and Fast Furious X, and now they're like
I know.
doing tanks and projectile missiles, and it became like, bro, this is science fiction. It's no longer grounded.
I think I stopped watching the Fast and the Furious since Paul Walker died, so I've stopped watching it. To be honest, I don't know. Supposedly they said that Paul Walker wanted them to continue filming, but to me, the fact that they added their brother to look like him and they keep continuing making more movies, to me it was just like, I don't know. I would say that it was more about the money than actually like the memory of Paul Walker. Paul Walker, my bad.
Right. And see, that's what I'm talking about. It's kind of like you're exploiting the fan base, the diehard fan base that watched Fast and Furious 1, 2, and 3. And we love that world. We love that culture because it's basically like GDM. We're building our own cars from scratch. We're painting it. We're having our own symbol. We're having all these little natural things. Um, Give me a second.
Mm-hmm.
Answer your question on private chat, babe. But yeah, it's very natural. Like, oh, I can pimp out my a Toyota Corolla. I can pimp out a Honda Accord. Put an exhaust system, straight pipe. I can put these like Japanese like engines onto it and make my own modifications. Right? That's what we love. The Fast and the Furious. When once it became like once essentially The Rock came into it, it became like
Oh,
a
yeah.
blockbuster, and it was like over the top. And you're exploiting because obviously Brian, aka Paul Walker, ended up dying in real life. I felt like there's a responsibility that the people that created the Fast and the Furious and the networks and the franchise want to keep it going to always remember Paul Walker and that fan base. But here's the thing: now Paul Walker has a son, and his son looks very similar to him.
Yeah.
So make a film about. I mean, even then, it could be like even like exploiting a bloodline, like Paul Walker. Now you're exploiting his son, but no, you just pay homage, and now you just make a very grounded movie about a son, Paul Walker, and him continuing in that film, and that segue into like, okay, now in with the old, uh, out with the old, in with the new, and just kind of keep it like, oh, it's a kid that grew up without a father, and then I don't know if you can make it that personal, but I mean, you basically can, and people understand because it's such a worldwide. Like everybody knows how Paul Walker died, right? Like his car
Yeah.
caught on fire and he incinerated.
I
When
was
it's
very, very
yeah,
sad.
that's very sad. Like it's extremely sad. But I feel like every what's the franchise called? Sorry. Oh, the Fast and Furious franchise. Everybody of that fans know about that death, so you wouldn't be exploiting it because we already know. So might as well
Yeah.
do a continuum and bounce off that idea that yes, you can create such a majestic, beautiful cars and race for pink slips and all this nature, but you can also burn up or something like that. You know, as I don't know, you can create a whole lot of things other than just keeping it like The Rock and you're using rockets and they're jumping off bridges and parachutes, and now you became like
Oh
Tom
yeah.
Clancy's Splinter Cell or James Bond 007 when these guys are not even trained, assassins or professionals like that. It's just, they're just, I was about to use a really racist term, but, they're,
Whoa.
yeah, I don't know. That I was just like, what?
What?
It's a racist term, but they're just essentially mechanics that fucking build amazing cars.
I actually
Um,
read
I don't
anything
even know if
about
that's
it.
a racist term.
I
Let me
actually
see.
read or saw somewhere that The Rock and what's his guy, Vin Diesel, they don't even get along in the movies. They actually hate each other, and they supposedly that The Rock he's trying to basically the reason why they don't like each other is because The Rock basically he makes everything in the movie about himself.
He
So
does. That's
mhm.
why Black Adam sucked.
I actually liked that one. That was a pretty good movie.
I mean, I fell asleep.
Um,
No, no,
Makes
no.
sense.
I heard to your point about The Rock, making the film all about me, me, me. It's because The Rock is building a brand, right? And that's what he did with Black Adam. Is he went about promoting the film his own way. And DC Studios and DC Universe, they didn't like that. They were like, bro, like you have to, associate yourself with Shazam. You got to incorporate other things so you can be like that villain, that infamous part aspect of it. And he wasn't playing ball with like certain studios, certain, cameos. He was like, no, I'm gonna promote The Rock. It's all about me. He did the same thing with Jumanji.
Oh
And
yeah.
like the way he associates with Kevin Hart, it's like now they're just a brand and it's all about money. So again, you're exploiting a fan base that really give a about certain things like comic books or cars, and you're just like, bro, it's like these aren't great stories.
Yeah.
And it isn't to go on a tangent and lose your mind and just be like, okay, now we're gonna have Fast and Furious, but on the moon. Like, no, just what it was about was basic GDM, you know, stealing cars, stealing off truck drivers, chop shopping vehicles as well, and flipping them, and then racing them, and like building something. It wasn't just, yeah, it didn't. I don't know. I just lost interest in that franchise. Same thing with Transformers, but Transformers always has a great. It's just very fun films. But yeah, I just feel like, man, you're pimping
I
me
love
out, bro. Like,
Transformers. I love
no, I
Transformers
mean, I love it
because
too. Like, who doesn't love Optimus Prime? Who doesn't like
uh-huh.
Bumblebee? Like, everybody does. But
Yes.
it's like one of the beautiful things about Transformers is the young audience that they would pander to, right? They brought in a young actor, Shia LaBeouf and Megan Fox, and people love them. And then next thing you know, you bring in Mark Wahlberg. Why? Because he's a big name. Like you couldn't find a younger actor to play um, a Shia LaBeouf. You know what I mean? Like, why do you like same thing with Ken and like why didn't you use a younger face? Why did it have to be Ryan Gosling? Oh, you used Ryan Gosling not because he's the most attractive Ken doll that you can possibly find. No, it's because he's a big name.
Yeah.
And again, that's why I was just like, nah, man, you gotta not essentially stick to the source material and try to be, oh, Ken doll, he's a brunette. Use the guy from Top Gun, Hangman. No, you bring in a popular, oh, you bring in Kevin Hart because he's got 150 million Instagram followers. Like, no, man, just why you got to do it like that to us? I don't know. There was a lot of things that just didn't really gravitate towards me watching Barbie, but like what you're telling me sounds really interesting. Sounds like, well,
Yeah. We should
might be
definitely
over.
give it a try. But to be honest, overall, I did like the movie. It was actually a pretty good movie, and yeah, I liked it a lot. I liked the experience. I wish we'd have watched it together, but it's okay. We can always have time to watch another time together. Um, It was fun. I would definitely have told you, babe, you should wear something pink, okay?
Or like
I'm
they say,
serious.
real men wear pink. I'm just- nah, I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, no, I probably will watch it when it comes out on Disney app. If it's a Pixar film or DreamWorks film, I'm not exactly too sure, but it does seem pretty cool. But yeah, I wasn't really too impressed to tie everything back together. I really wasn't too impressed with Oppenheimer. Like I said, it checked up all the boxes, but in terms of entertainment, I really wasn't. It was a great documentary. The way I looked at it, fantastic documentary, a great timepiece. And Christopher Nolan never fails to make a beautiful, impactful film. But it
Yeah.
was way different from the stuff that he's ever done. Not just the nude sex scenes, but and to be honest with you, the movie wasn't even rated R just because of that nude sex scene. But if you exclude it from there, it's essentially a PG movie. I don't even think they cussed or said a lot of bad words. Like it
Huh.
was just like honestly, The Dark Knight was much darker.
I love the movie. The
Yeah,
dark
it's a beautiful movie. It's a
favorite movie.
fantastic movie. It's a great
Especially
movie.
the Joker.
Oh yeah, Heath Ledger was a shit. Um, but yeah, that movie wasn't even really rated R just because of the nude scene. But like the nude scenes is like you don't really even need that because you haven't really been making that the focus of the film. You just threw it in there for kind of like shits and giggles. Like it didn't incorporate anything. Now, seeing the actress Florence Pugh naked, that essentially kind of made the film. Just because it was the film. I'm telling you, it just wasn't entertaining, babe. Like it just was whatever's.
Now that I think
If
about
Ken took off his shirt and he's flexing his muscle, you're like, with the fan, you're laughing. You're like, oh my god, ooh. You know what I mean? And so, um, yeah, I didn't really enjoy that film. A bit different to say Gallo Negro, Crucito, and Miklo in Blood and Blood Out. In that sense, they were archetypes, and Paul wasn't anything equivalent to that. Yeah, well, I
it.
agree. Um, Paul Walker wasn't anything equivalent to an archetype in that sense, but I don't think that's the point that I was making. But the beauty about Blood and Blood Out is because actually that was very common. You always most Latino families always have un güero. They always have like a gallo negro. There's always like a boxer in the family or one that pursues that road, right? There's always a crucito that draws. There's a family member that gets incarcerated, one that becomes a cop or goes into the military. Like even though it's an archetype, wait, what do you mean by archetype? Is that like stereotypical? Or is it just an archetype like like just a characteristic? Speed?
Huh?
No, I'm talking to the chat.
Oh,
Speed is
okay.
saying a bit different to say Gallo Negro, Crucito, and Miko and Blood in, Blood Out in the sense that they were archetypes, and Paul
Um,
wasn't anything equivalent to that. Symbols. Paul
mm,
Walker being a symbol. Yeah, I mean, the movie isn't well written as in the Blood in, Blood Out film.
I think that
Paul Walker is just associated with car culture, not because he was a symbol to car culture, but it was just the impact that that film made. That it was just a cool film.
yeah.
It wasn't like he was symbolic to. Oh yeah, he got a wrench and he was changing alternators and he got his hands filled with grease and or even there's a girl like Letty that does all this mechanical work. She wears overalls and stuff like that. No, like in fact, she's much more of a symbol to like a girl working on cars and men become attracted to that because hey, we all like cars. Paul Walker really wasn't about that. I mean, he was a cop in the fucking film and trying to get undercover and get his homies are incarcerated essentially, but he fell in love with that. So he was a symbol of just like essentially corruption and just being like, man, this is my familia. But yeah, he wasn't that impactful in terms of that archetype, that like a beautiful symbol. But it's Paul Walker, man. Like, dude, good looking dude, cars, it's fucking fantastic. But yeah, he
I
wasn't, that.
I believe the fans they really fell in love with the way Paul Walker was, how he was like kind and generous person, all this stuff. So I think that mainly that's why a lot of people, a lot of fans in the movie saw that more quicker. because of the way he was in real life.
Hell yeah. Freaking white long tees, little dicky pants, fucking Chuck tees, just walk like it just a cool ass look. So I had that like it had that symbol in the early stages of the couple of stages of the films, you know. Then they branched off into just Hollywood doing Hollywood and hiring not Steven Spielberg, but essentially all those guys that just do, you know, oh, let's blow this up for sure.
Baby, cutting off. Oh,
Wow, that was hilarious. I was answering all your guys' questions, but I put my mute off. I
I
put the mute
thought.
button on my mic. That was ridiculous. Um, I'm not.
Wow.
I hate repeating myself. I can't believe I had the mute button on again.
I
Uh,
can't wait for football season.
yeah, me too, babe. And on that note, thank you, Speed, and anybody else that was listening. Thank you guys for tuning in,
Thank
baby.
you.
Thank you for keeping me company at work
A
and just
pleasure,
chopping
man.
it up about films and yeah, just kind of picking your brain about what you thought about the films. And thank you for the company, everybody in the chat as well. To my million followers, thank you. And
Well, no lie there. I
that's
was
pretty much
helping her.
it, guys. Have a good night, and
Good night, babe.
that's on the next one. Bye, baby.
Bye. Love you. Bye.
Bye.